soldiers and for all of Am Yisrael, Geula Shlema Bimera, Amen. So the month of Tammuz, it's a very interesting month because there is a book called Pri Tzadik. This Sefer Pri Tzadik was written by Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen Miluvlin. And he writes and says that the month of Tammuz, it's a month that a person can get spiritual koach for Torah Shebe'al Peh. He says that the month of Tammuz, if a person prays for that, he can get special siyata dishmaya when it comes to learning Torah. And obviously the question will be why? What's the connection? So I think Rabbi Galimidi mentioned it throughout Shabbat, and he said something very nice. He said that Chacham Yitzchak Yosef last week was in New York, and he said that the chief rabbi said the days of Tammuz, right, are days that a person can do the same thing that we can do throughout the month of Elul. Why? He explains that the month of Tammuz, you have half a month is not Midat Adin. Second part of the month, from Yud Zayin Tammuz, you have the Midat Adin activated more because of the Shloshet HaShavuot. The Rabbi said that a person who does Teshuvah throughout the month of Tammuz properly, really, he doesn't need all the Teshuvah process throughout the Yamim Noraim. Unbelievable. It was a very big chidush that the Rabbi mentioned. Okay, that the month of Tammuz, that's a pre-preparation for the Hagim, like the Rashi Tevot of Tammuz, right? What is Tammuz? So you have Zmanei Teshuvah Mimashmeshim Ubaim. Times of Teshuvah are getting closer, so we have to get ready for that. The person who gets and he starts doing his Teshuvah throughout this month is avoiding from him, a judgment during Yamim Noraim. But Rabotai, I would like to share with you one point that I think it's very important, not only for this month in general, and obviously it's connected to this week's parasha. In this parasha we have Korach. Korach spoke against Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu, right, Anav Mikol Adam, the most humble person in earth, suddenly acts in a very tough way. Not something normal. Moshe Rabbeinu, that he heard Lashon Hara against him and he didn't say anything, that he didn't even bother him. Moshe Rabbeinu, that usually he was the one to pray to Borei Olam to forgive Am Yisrael for the Chet HaEgel, for the Chet HaMeraglim. Suddenly, when it comes to Korach, Moshe Rabbeinu not only he feels the bother, he prays to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to punish them. But not a regular punishment. He says, in Beriyah, if you're going to create a new creation in the world, I want you to create a new creation of the world to punish these people. Korach v'adatu. And when you read the Psukim, you ask yourself, where is the Moshe Rabbeinu that we know? Moshe Rabbeinu, Anav Mikol Adam, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu that always is looking to find, Sanegor to Am Yisrael, suddenly becomes so tough. What happened? And the Malbim brings a fantastic explanation. Says the Malbim, you see, let me just give you a quick introduction. The Rambam writes, our main part of Emunah on Borei Olam, it's not the miracles that we have experienced in Yetziat Mitzrayim, or during the 40 years in the desert, or when we defeat the 7 nations at the entrance of Eretz Israel. That's not our base of our emunah. Our base of our emunah is Matan Torah. With Matan Torah, what happened was all of Am Yisrael, not throughout a middleman, all of Am Yisrael were able to experience Nevuah and to hear the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's something that never existed again. That's something that no other nation had. And it's only by Am Yisrael. Right? To have over 600,000 people hearing the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu straight, it's something that is proving the powerful event that happened. But that's not enough. It says in Rabbi, there was another very important point in Matan Torah. That point was that they saw Moshe Rabbeinu going up to the mountain and hearing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu the Torah and the Halachot that Borei Olam was giving to Moshe Rabbeinu. So Matan Torah was not only our belief in Borei Olam, but was also the knowledge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose Moshe Rabbeinu to give us the rest of the Torah. What happened was that throughout the sins that Am Yisrael did in the desert, those were sins that, yes, there were sins that were not good, but at the end of the day, it's not contradicting our Kabbalat Torah. But when Korach comes and he says, listen, Kichol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. Yeah, all the nation is exactly the same. Umadua titnaseu al ke'al Hashem. Why you guys are taking advantage? Pointing up Moshe and Aaron. It was actually talking and saying, we don't believe you. And Chaz v'Shalom, you're inventing stuff. And for sure, that's not what God means. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, if Korach is going to succeed in his ta'ana, in whatever he's saying, all the Torah that you gave me, Borei Olam, okay, it's going to be throw to the garbage. People are not going to believe me anymore. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, Borei Olam, the same way that he did above nature to give the Torah, you have to do above nature to show that whatever Korach is saying, it's false. Why? For the benefit of Am Yisrael. And that's why Borei Olam did something that it's above and beyond. Splitting up the ground and swallowing Korach, right, and his family, and then closing up, and they saw the fire, etc. It's something that will remain forever. And that's for what purpose? One purpose. Remember that to be able to fulfill Avodat Hashem, we must have Emunat Chachamim. Without our Emunat Chachamim, we can do disasters. And here I'm taking you another 3 minutes, but in other end, that's it. My dear friends, unfortunately, today, especially when it comes to the US, especially when it comes to our city, we have to know that whenever you get advices that are not coming from people that are Bnei Torah, the mistakes are terrible. And maybe many of you don't know, but unfortunately we get so many cases of people that are going, yes, I went to a certain class, the speaker is a magnificent speaker and he speaks so nice and he takes, I don't know, something of Hasidut. But who is the speaker? No, he's a guy that likes, Hasidut, and he knows what he's coaching. And Rabotai, the amount of problems, halachic problems, shalom bayit problems, advices problems that they say that they give, it's a disaster. Why? Because when the advices are coming out of your thoughts, you might be wrong, and that's not the way of the Torah. People that are going to all type of events and classes from guys that are not B'nai Torah, and having the same thing, all type of events of yoga, and you see young couples, it's for young couples, yoga, young couples, and then you see everybody crying and getting emotional. What about tzniut? What about basic concepts that they're going to certain beach, and in the middle of the night with candles? That's why before you do any action, you have to know what is the path of the Torah. What's the path of the Torah? Emunat Chachamim. Without having Emunat Chachamim clear, without understanding that I have to ask before I take decisions. Not only you may make mistakes, the mistakes will be so big, there is no way back. Just want to finish. The same thing happened when it comes to education. Educating our kids. We might come to all type of conclusions. And unfortunately, those conclusions are a disaster. I have a case. Listen to this case. A couple that decided to put their son in a certain school. Why that school? Academically, it's very high. Right? But there is also goyim. And he said, a kid 12 years old. He said over to one of the Avrechim over here. He says, Rabbi, listen, there is somebody that I like very much in the school, but she's, Goya. There is any way to do something? Now, Rabotai, that starts, and it might be funny at that age. That starts at that age. And throughout his growth, right, it may be too late. Whenever you take decisions that are life-changing, don't take decisions that are not according to Torah. And don't worry, every person is different, and the advices for every single person is not going to be the same. But you have to have a derech of Torah. And that's the Parashat Shavua. We're coming now to the month of Tammuz. The month of Tammuz is the sin that we're going to have Yud Zayin Tammuz until Tisha B'Av. And Tisha B'Av was exactly the destruction of Bet HaMikdash, but it started because of the Chet HaMeraglim. And the Chet HaMeraglim was also lack of Emunah. Let's reinforce ourselves in Emunat Torah, in Emunat Chachamim, and Be'ezrat Hashem will be able to do the proper decisions. Quick